Greetings everyone to the third day of Discourses with Dr. Vladimir Yatsenko. So greetings, and in this session, Dr. Vladimir will be taking us through Purna Yoga of the Gita and into Yoga, looking at the Jnana, Bhakti and Karma Yoga aspects.
Can I correct a little bit?
Sure.
I didn't finish with Sankhya, and today I was thinking to deviate from our plan a little bit.
That's okay.
We will catch up with the Gita next time, and today we must touch upon Sankhya and the transition from Vedanta, from Upanishads to Sankhyaik thinking, to the Gita.
Because and how does that change tomorrow?
Yes, so tomorrow we will take Gita. And the second portion of this, In Search of Paradigm of Knowledge. In the light of Sri Aurobindo, we can take already from the Gita all there. So it will fit well. Yeah. So
okay,
it will be
it's fine. You're the boss.
Some adjustment. Yeah.
Okay, you're the boss. So.
All right. Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Let me project the presentation for today. So we spoke about four great synthesis of knowledge, which Sri Aurobindo mentions. It is the Vedas, Samhita texts, and the transition from Samhitas to Upanishads was Brahmanas and Aranyakas we spoke about. Then Upanishads, another great synthesis, and then Gita. Today we had to speak on the Gita, but because we didn't cover Sankhya yesterday, so today we will do this. And then Tantra is the last great synthesis. What is interesting about here, I put Sankhya and Yoga. It starts from the time of the Upanishads. In the Upanishads, there are first kind of attempts to look at knowledge from the mental structure of consciousness, perspective of the mental structure. So we see that the manas starts dominating other faculties. So as Yajnavalkya would say, in the Brihadaranyaka, it is not by the eye that man sees, but by the mind. It is not by the ear that man hears, but by the mind. So mind, it's by the mind we hear, we see, we touch, it's all by the mind. So this is the domination by manas of all other faculties, which become indriyas in Sankhya, and that is important for us. That's why I do these presentations. I want us to see how we shifted away from that ancient knowledge. And the major shift was within manas. Manas becomes all-dominating faculty because manas has a particular characteristic. It has the power to concentrate consciousness on any chosen object of sense. So if we want to master concentration, we have to develop the mind. It is the mind which is holding consciousness on a particular object or subject. And because of this, it started to dominate. So you can concentrate your hearing, your seeing, your word on a particular topic or subject. And then that faculty of concentration becomes predominant. It's a kind of very light explanation of the shift. So in our paradigm, in pre-Sankhyaik, in the Upanishadic, manas is one of the faculties. He is not dominating yet other faculties. So word and mind were kind of equal faculties. It was a dvandva, a pair. Even Sri Aurobindo even says in The Secret of the Veda that the word is even more original than the thought, the idea. The word is a parent of the idea. Can you imagine? So it is by the word that the idea was brought into action or into being. So the word itself generates and creates the ideas. So this was the Vedic paradigm where the word was dominating the mind. Later, it's just the opposite, and the idea dominates the word. The word is only a token of some thought or an idea. So you can see that there was a whole shift from one view on consciousness to another. So Upanishads are in between. They view them as equal partners, word and mind. Yeah? Hearing and seeing, breathing in and breathing out. These are 6 major faculties we mentioned, and they are constituting a very interesting paradigm of nama and rupa. On one side, nama, name, on the other, rupa, form. Because everything here in this world is perceived in 2 different cognitions. Apprehensive and comprehensive. We will come to it more in detail. So apprehensive, we cognize the thing, the form. So there is some difference in the form. So I recognize that this cup is different from my hand. But then to understand what it is, that it is a cup and there is a tea inside, I need the name, the comprehensive cognition. So these 2, hearing and seeing, hearing is comprehensive because I know by the word that there is tea inside. I don't see tea, it's covered, but I know. How do I know? I know it by the word. I know it not by seeing. So that is, I'm comprehending, I am understanding that within there is, because it's heavy, that must be the liquid there. And how do I recognize that it is heavy? Also, it's an all-comprehensive cognition. But apprehensive is that there is this thing, there is this hand, and they have relations. So these 2 are fundamental, and both of them are perceptive and active at the same time. Yes. So perceptive is when I see, and active when I imagine the mind. Perceptive when I hear about it, and active when I express it in the vibration of myself, speak about it. You see how beautiful the harmonious system was built in the Upanishads. And then these four pillars of Brahman manifest the spirit in the world as prana and annam, body, material body. We spoke about these faculties, that they can be turned, these yellow faculties turned either within or without. And there was a proposal how to follow up with Upanishadic yoga. Upanishadic yoga was about allowing the innermost faculties of Adhyatma to shine through the faculties to the surface. So how to do it? How to allow our seeing, hearing, speaking, thinking, feeling, and body consciousness to become the channels of the inner light to the surface. And Sri Aurobindo says that they have to not to withdraw from activities on the surface, but to become consciously passive and perceptive of the inner light. They should withdraw their claim for self-satisfaction. And this is the most difficult part of the yoga, because these faculties, they are representatives of the universal Purusha, who is the delight himself. And so they are seeking, they want that absolute delight, to find it everywhere in the world. So they are running for their self-satisfaction. We want to see beautiful things. We want to hear beautiful harmonies in music. We want to feel very pleasant touch and massage and so on. Yeah? We are constantly preoccupied with satisfaction of the indriyas or faculties. Yeah? That's the whole preoccupation. Our life is centered around this, feeding the senses with the delight of existence. They are demanding it. So in order to allow the inner light to come to the surface, according to the Upanishadic rishis, we have to withdraw the claim of self-satisfaction for the senses or indriyas or faculties. And they have to become passively conscious of the inner light. They have to understand that within them, behind them, there is a Purusha, and allow that innermost light of their own to reach to the surface. So instead of showing the arrows in and out, we have to show from inside out. They have to go one way. But for that, the faculties have to become totally transparent, purified, and non-egoistic. So our egoism, ego as such, ahankara, is built only on this particular subject of indriyas seeking self-satisfaction. If that is removed, our ego disappears. We don't have ego anymore. So I was also telling you about this passage from Savitri, which is profound. When Savitri and Satyavan meet, and Satyavan speaks to Savitri, I looked upon the world and missed the self. And when I found the self, I lost the world. This is this, yeah, either inwardly or outwardly we are looking at the world. My other selves I lost, and the body of God, the link of the finite with the infinite, the bridge between the appearance and the truth. That very bridge, how to bridge the inner and outer, is lost because you look inside or you look outside and you don't have the bridge. The mystic aim for which the world was made, the human sense of immortality. I took a little longer passage because here there are faculties coming in. But now the gold link comes to me with thy feet. In his gold sun has shone on me from thy face. For now another realm draws near with thee, and now diviner voices fill my ear. Now listen, voices, words, voices, gear, Vedic word, fill my ear, fill my hearing. A strange new world swims to me in thy gaze, in thy look, view, look, sight, vision. This is the faculty of seeing. Approaching like a star from unknown heavens, a cry of spheres, the word again, a cry, invocation, comes with thee and a song. Yeah. So beautiful. Music and the word of flaming gods. I draw a wealthier breath, prana, and in a fiery march of moments move. My mind transfigures to a rapturous sea. And even mind becomes a rapturous sea. So we see all our six faculties basically here, hearing, seeing, speaking, and thinking, and even breathing. All of them are mentioned in a totally different setting because it comes from the transcendental realms. These faculties are charged with a truer light. And this is what basically the Upanishadic yoga proposes, to fill them with the inner light of Purusha, because they came out of the universal Purusha, and Purusha can fill them in. So this is the whole mystery of our creation. So I'm coming here that consciousness operates on these three levels of Adhyatma, Adhidaiva, and Adhibhuta. We spoke about this yesterday. So on the Adhyatmic level, consciousness operates by secret operations. We will speak about this in this presentation, maybe in the second half. And Adhidaiva is these faculties, which we already mentioned, 6 of them, Manas, Vak, Chakshu, Shrotram, Prana, Apana. And Adhibhuta, when they are turned outside, they are known to us as Indriyas of Sankhya. We can look into Sankhya system. Now I'm coming to the first part of my presentation, Sankhya. Sankhya is so important that it is used by all other systems. Gita is using Sankhya, all the yoga approaches, Tantra, all Tantras use Sankhya. Because Sankhya is the very system of Indian philosophy, let us say. So there are 25 tattvas, and it is believed that Purusha and Prakriti are infinite and eternal. They never disappear. So they can be in equilibrium. Equilibrium means that when the Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva of Prakriti is not mixed, so then Prakriti falls into equilibrium and Purusha merges into Purusha. So Purusha is always there, and Prakriti is his power of manifestation. His mother explains this in the statement, "Without him, I exist not." She speaks as Prakriti. "Without me, he is unmanifest." So Purusha is always there, whether he is manifest or not. But Prakriti is his manifestation. So how does she manifest? According to Sankhya, she mixes 3 gunas, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. The whole 6 chapters of the Gita, the last 6 chapters of Jnana Yoga are about these 3 gunas and their mixtures. So the whole Jnana section, Jnana Yoga, we will come to it tomorrow. But here it is kind of important to mention. So once they are mixed, they reveal the qualities one by one. First Buddhi, pure reason, then Ahankara, ego sense, then Manas, sense mind. Here Manas dominates the Indriyas. Then we have 5 tanmatras, the states of the substance, of the tamas, as it were. That is not tanmatra, those, the measures of that, literally. Mahabhutas, 5, there we have ether, air, fire, water, and earth. You know these things. 5 indriyas, hearing, touch, sight, taste, smell, and 5 karmendriyas. So indriyas are called usually jnanendriyas, indriyas of knowledge or senses of knowledge, and karmendriyas, senses of action. These senses of action we have to look into more precisely from the point of view of yoga. Sri Aurobindo deals with them. So this is speech, hands, legs, procreatory and excretory organs. So all the actions of our body which are turned outside as communicating something of ourselves to outside through action. That is speech, when we invoke something or communicate some wish, desire, pani, hands, which are reaching out and dealing with the reality, taking, giving, exchange. Pada, moving us around, yes. And procreation, that's also a communication. We cast a seed and we produce a child. And excretory organs. For everything what comes in goes out as something which is unnecessary. So basically everything which makes exchange of this system with the outer world. These are the karmendriyas, and they are corresponding to jnanendriyas. There are many questions here. Usually we are stuck with this section because how come that the sight and the legs are related? So, but an Agni, especially this question is coming up. People understand speech, hearing, Akasha, okay, Vayu, touch, Pani, hands, yes, all right. But what about the padas, the legs and the sight? Why seeing and legs are connected, feet? I have my theory on this, why they're connected, but I don't want to go into it unless you are interested, and at the end we may discuss when we stop for questions and answer session. So this is the system, 25 tattvas, 5, 5, 5, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25 tattvas. Tattvas are irreducible elements. You cannot reduce them to the small element. Yeah, they are not composed, they are original. Yeah. If you have some questions on this, so manas operates through indriyas. Yes, it's considered to be the sixth sense. So we have it dominates our hearing, our touch, sight, taste, and smell. These are 5 major senses. And you can see that this system is valid even today. It's a scientific system. Yeah? We believe that the senses are feeding our mind with information. Our mind selects information as it wants, and that's how we know about the reality. All phenomenology is built on this, that what senses are feeding is very dubious, because of the Nietzsche's view on metaphors, that first impression of which senses make onto our inner system, and then that impression makes the word concept in the mind, and we operate by concepts, not by the reality. So we have 2 metaphors moving us away from reality, and we live in our own reality. And this becomes the basis for phenomenology, that basically we imagine the reality, and that imagination is corresponding with it in a very mysterious way. So we are always delayed in our perception of reality. Yeah? We are never dealing with reality as such directly, because there is always a delay in consciousness, in perception. And all this is developed from this vision of Sankhya, by the way. Sankhya is the beginning of the mental structure of consciousness, where mind is in charge. Here it is. The mind, the synthesizer of all the senses are feeding us with. Yeah? So he chooses how to synthesize. And behind the mind there is an ego, ahankara. Ahankara is that center which allows us to view things in a particular individual, personal way. And behind there is buddhi, which is free from ahankara, and it is a pure reason of Kant, yeah? Where the senses do not determine our way of thinking. So the thinking is taking place through conceptualization, through ideas. This is the level of ideas. This is the level of perception. This is the level of conception, if you will. So basically, animals and human beings, they have manas, yeah, and they operate very well, because manas is the sense mind. Yeah? It is the mind of perception. It decides what to do with the input of the senses based on ahankara. But buddhi, so here we are with this beautiful system. Sri Aurobindo says it is very concrete and very correct from the mental point of view. So from the mind's point of view, of course, it is a unique system of knowledge, where the mind can securely dwell on the elements of knowing and how the world is built. You see, the world is inbuilt into the faculties. You can see that the ether, air, fire, water, and earth, all the five major elements are inbuilt in indriyas. Indriyas are actually defining their qualities. Tanmatras are defining their qualities through indriyas and karmendriyas. It's an amazing system which kind of comprises all elements of our inner and outer being and consciousness into one system of 25 tattvas. Who could have done such work? So in a way, it's a marvel by itself. But it has a certain change, shift. And shift is this, manas. Manas becomes a dominant factor, dominant faculty over all the rest. The rest become inferior. He becomes superior. They are losing their creativity. They all start depending on ahankara. If in this system there is no ahankara altogether, because manas is one of the faculties equal to others, so they are directly projecting Purusha's presence in the activities of our consciousness in life, then here we have a shift, a change. It's no more direct to Purusha. It's here in between we have ahankara, we have manas who decides what to take, what not to take, what to consider and what not. So all this is already becoming closer to us as we are today. Yes? That's why we are so troubled with our mind. This is this mind, sense mind, which made all the troubles for us. This mental structure of consciousness, which is so critical and so subjective in the sense of choosing the elements of knowledge. There is no equality because there is ego sense behind. So, I will continue. Maybe I will stop here for questions and answers because it's already kind of Sankhya. We are coming to this, to the end of the presentation of Sankhya, introduction to it, and comparison with the Upanishads. If you have some ideas or want to clarify something, please.
Vladimir, I'm still curious about that fire, Agni, and feet.
Of course, we have such a limited time for such a huge subject. But nevertheless, no? One thing which is not visible in Sankhya is that these indriyas are, where are they coming from? Why they were created? From manas? No, they are not from manas. Manas is synthesizing them. From ahankara? No, they are not from ahankara. Maybe they are from buddhi. No, they are not even from buddhi. Where are they from? These are our faculties. We will be dealing with them. That's the whole course is about them. This discourse. They are coming from Purusha. According to Aitareya, they are all those faculties plunged into the inconscient ocean. It is the projection of Purusha. You know how creation is taking place when Purusha attends to Prakriti, she mixes gunas and starts creation. When he removes his attention, she falls into equilibrium. So he needs to give her sanction. And his sanction is nothing but the projection of his faculties into the midst of her own force, creative force. Ego, buddhi, ego sense is an ego entity. How manas is related with thinking perceptions. These are the questions. Ego sense, ahankara, is actually absolutely necessary for the functioning of our being here. It is not egoism. Sri Aurobindo makes a difference, a distinction between ego and egoism. Egoism is an excessive demand of, this attention to oneself as greater priority to others. So it is something else. It is built on selfishness. As Sri Aurobindo says, there is only one sin in the world, and that is selfishness. Yeah? So that means excessive egoism. But ego is necessary. Without ego, we would not be able to function at all in this world. Yeah? It is that which gives us a specific, unique focal point of our own self relating to the world in a particular fashion. So it recaptures the conceptual knowledge of pure reason makes a formation of it and applies it to the world. So in a way, ahankara is something else, and I'm not sure even that it is possible to totally dissolve it, and even that it is feasible, because we mix ahankara with ego, with egoism many times, and we think about it in negative terms. There's more question coming, I guess. Individuality of some kind in nature, yes. And it has to be formed, and finally it has to be, divinized. Yeah? So when ahankara becomes a total servant of the spirit of Purusha, then there is no problem of having it. Yeah? It can act. It can give us a force of Prakriti delegated to Purusha. It's normal. So there is no problem with that. The problem is when it is the only driving force, and there is no spirit, and it overtakes everything, then it becomes an egoism. So these indriyas, I wanted to say, they are Purusha's faculties. It is his seeing, his hearing. When he attends to her, he delegates, he witnesses her. He is a witness consciousness, and he is Anumanta. He is the one who gives the sanction to Prakriti to move. So she starts mixing gunas and creating everything else. But what she creates that what he delegated to her, and these will be his indriyas in her. These infinite indriyas. So we look at them as inferior, but they are not inferior. They are Purusha's superior faculties. This is what I wanted to change now for our thinking in Sankhya. Sankhya does not speak this way. It's me who is kind of comparing the Upanishads with Sankhya. Sankhya would say that they are really inferior. Their indriyas turned outside. They are always looking for self-satisfaction. Manas is taking all the inputs, recombines them according to ahankara, and that's it. Now, according to the Sankhya as Vedanga, you know that there are darshana. There are 6 darshanas, and one of which is Sankhya. Sankhya and yoga, they are together usually mentioned. So in Sankhya as darshana, there are many Purushas and one Prakriti. So there is no one Purusha. In the Gita, in the ancient version of Sankhya, there is a supreme Purusha, or Purushottama. Purushottama, and there are many Purushas. So Purusha is our soul. When soul attends to Prakriti, Prakriti is one. It's like material from which we will build bodies. But Purushas are many, according to Sankhya. So Sankhya is atheistic system. It does not believe in God. That's interesting. Such a spiritual system, but atheistic. But not in the Gita. In the Gita, there is the supreme behind all the Purushas. So this detail I had to mention. I hope it is not confusing. Did you study this before? Some of you, most probably Indian philosophy to a certain extent. This requires quite a deeper study, a longer time. It looks very simple, but it's not so simple. Sri Aurobindo in the Life Divine, I think in the synthesis, he beautiful, or in the Life Divine, he describes how all the Mahabhutas are being born, are one after the other, one from the other. How from the ether air comes into being with touch. We add one more dimension, yes? If Akasha is 0-dimensional or 1-dimensional, let us say, then Vayu is 2-dimensional, because there is a twist within Akasha, the touch, the air, the blow. There is something which is already not so equally distributed, the twist, the 2nd dimension. And if you add the 3rd dimension to this twist, one more knot, as it were, no touch anymore, but a knot, then it will generate heat and light and fire. So in the Gurdjieff system, it was interesting that he considered all the stars to be the knots of the ether. So if you make a knot in the ether, it will become a star. It will generate a huge amount of energy. Heat, light, sight, all comes with this form, will be seen and perceived and communicated. Form can communicate through the light. Light is the communication of the form, or touch of the form. That's why Pada's here. If we analyze how we see things, it's amazing, because if just physically how it is happening, yes, the photon, we do not know what photon is, but there is a photon, we call it photon, something which is like an energetic kind of wave or particle or both or something else, flies through and hits. If we look at our body, it is through the microscope, we will see that we do not have substance. Actually, there are huge spaces in between, like galaxies, these, we increase the level of the microscope to the extent that we see atoms and electrons, not molecules. So there we will see that each electron is very far from the nuclear, and in between there are spaces. So this photon is so small that it can fly through everything, pervade these empty spaces, But it is captured by the electron. An electron is charged with this extra energy, changes its orbit. It's our language. We adopted this language in scientific explanation of physics, and cannot sustain that orbit because it's not natural for its weight. It drops it off. So it's always charging and dropping, charging and dropping. So actually it takes extra energy, photon, and then it drops it. And when it drops it, then it emanates this light. And that light we see, we see the light. It's not bouncing light from the surface. There is no surface. it's an illusion. There are electrons there which are being charged with these photons, and then they discharge the extra energy which they got. So what is happening here? That we are all emanating. That's why we see textures, colors, because emanation is always different from the system which adopted that extra energy of photon. So these photons are communicators of the body with the body. Just imagine, we are one big body which is spread in time and space, but the light unites us all into one body. We are holding one body through the light. And that is why Pada, as a communicator, as a moving from one place to another, if I want to move to you, I move to you through light. We touch each other through light. We are one in the body through this communication, physical communication of the form. Form communicates with the form. And this is the mystery of light and fire. And then if you add one more dimension, it becomes apos, the waters, and that becomes liquid, liquid without the form. So there is a substance, but it doesn't have yet form. It can be in any form. And then it is becoming one more dimension and becomes a rigid, separate form from others. Substance which has its own formation. It's amazing to think of these 5 elements. Right. Okay, no questions? Yeah? Okay, Sankhya is over. So then I wanted to move to something very sophisticated. And that is the operations of consciousness on 2 different levels. Adhyatmic level. You remember we spoke about Adhyatma, Adhidaiva, and with the earth. Please complete with the earth. Well, I thought it was kind of coming to the logical end. So once it takes the 5th dimension of the substance, and that water is frozen, as it were, becomes the form, which is frozen form. And then you have the particles there. Maybe I should not jump into this big topic of the secret operations because we need time for it. So what is smell? Let us examine this smell because it connects with earth. Smell is an amazing thing. These are particles of another body traveling to your receptors. If the particles of the body, it's not some kind of evaporation. There is no vapor. That vapor is charged with particles. And those particles are sweat or whatever from your body or from any other body. And the animals, like dogs, they feel it. They develop that sense of smell so powerfully that they can really recognize immediately the being and follow the being through the forest because he leaves the trace of his own particles. And these are physical particles. We need, for the taste and smell, we need already embodied state. And this is amazing because for these first 3, we don't need the embodied state. Hearing, touch, and sight. Even touch sounds like we need the embodied, but we don't need because these are those 3 faculties we spoke about, like hearing and seeing, and in between the touch as discerning. You remember viveka. So touch is interesting thing because it has two components in it. It has both of the hearing, comprehensive, and of the seeing, apprehensive. If somebody touches me, I can feel that there is a soft or hard touch. I feel it is the hand, warm. Yeah, I feel what it is. And then I feel more. I feel, is it friendly touch, or loving touch, or hating touch? I can comprehend the purpose of the touch. Yeah? So both of them are present within the touch, both elements of hearing and seeing. Yeah? It's a mystery of touch, yeah, so to say. But these are the three: hearing, viveka, and seeing. Drishti, Shruti, and Viveka of Sri Aurobindo. Three major approaches to reality, accesses to reality. In the educational psychology, we know about this. There are visual people, there are people who are audio and tactile. And there are also students like this. That's why we have all the problems in the educational department. The teacher can be a visual and the student will be a audio, and so they may not understand each other very well. Yeah. By the way, we have to also define who are you. I am the person of hearing more than seeing. I know it. Yeah. There are many kind of, we can make even maybe some kind of review or analysis that will help you to define who you are. What do you think who you are? Deepti, who are you?
I was thinking about this, Vladimir.
We cannot
because,
hear you for some reason. Or maybe
and
I
yeah,
cannot hear you. 1 minute.
I've often gone by this, like, no, even, I think I'm fire.
You are fire. Yeah. You are seeing. Yeah. You are a seer, not a hearer. But you behave as if you're a hearer.
I don't know. I think it keeps moving around, but that element of fire is also there. Because
you may be fired by your characteristic of Ayurvedic characteristic, more pitta in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But it's kind of inbuilt, the constitution of the body. But in consciousness, in perception, how do you perceive more? Through the words or through the visual pictures?
Neither. Actually, it's just some feeling, something comes inside, actually. It's just, suddenly it pops up.
Right. The result will be holistic, but the entry is important. Through what you enter better, through visual is better, easier, or the word. For me, for example, the story would be enough. I don't need to see. I can close my eyes and listen to the story.
Yeah. Yes, that also happens actually. One word, like, because when you mention something, just immediately something, an insight happens.
Yes. So through the word we can arrive at seeing, and through the seeing we can arrive at the understanding of what it is. Yes.
Yeah. Even like when you were talking about yesterday, the Adi Deva, Adi Bhutas, and so many things, it just came clear. And when you mentioned flow, and I was thinking, my God, we've been talking to the students always about the flow of Mahali, the concept itself. And you mentioned, if at all, it could be both, like, a person who was playing football. You gave that example. If that person could take in the other aspect of it, how beautiful it would be. And it just, my God, I thought how much we have missed out in the education system.
Right. How to unite vidya and avidya into one
into
action of consciousness. Yes, that would be marvelous. If Purusha will be totally revealed through his indriyas here in Prakriti, and they will be all charged with his light and his presence. Can you imagine what it could be? Yeah. Not manas, not ego sense will be deciding. They will become transparent kind of channels of Purusha's presence. Yes.
Vladimir, I want to ask, then Gurjeev's system is almost so similar, no? I mean, like...
Gurdjieff's system, yeah. Well, there are many occultistic, yes. He was an occultist of some kind, yeah, mystic. He has, yes, much. Uspensky and Gurdjieff, yes, both.
Because Ouspensky's book, like in Psychological Evolution, and the way he goes around explaining that each one broken into like, no, even the mental, vital, and everything, three aspects of it, and moving into that. I was finding a lot of similarities.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. They are coming from this mysticism, Eastern mysticism, definitely. And Gurdjieff, you know, he belongs to the region of Caucasus, where mountains, yeah. He's from that beginning of humanity. We consider that they all come from that region. Yeah. Right. I studied them long ago, 35 years back, when I started to be interested in mysticism. Gurdjieff and Uspensky, the fourth dimension, his view on the time as the fourth dimension of space is so beautiful. And many things, discussions, Balbazub, there is a very difficult book by Gurdjieff. He said, if you read it 3 times throughout, you will get it. And I couldn't finish it the first time. It is so difficult. He made it impossible to read. And it's huge. So that was my education about. But there are his statements which are marvelous, like the knots of ether are the stars, which are still staying and all the time coming back to me when we speak about these indriyas and faculties. So what about others? James, who are you? You are visual or hearing or...
First of all, I'm muted. Now I'm unmuted. I think I'm probably visual, not sure. It's where I tend to initially receive is through the vision.
Yeah, I also think you are visual. Yeah.
Huh?
I also think you are visual for some reason. Yeah. It's a sense of a personality. Like immediately you could sense it that it is so. Yes, and how you speak, what is important. There are, for example, there are poets who are more visual or who are more hearing. Yes. So it's quite interesting to compare. Garcia Lorca, for example, is totally visual, always colors, shapes. He describes everything in colors, shapes, and, there are others who are suggesting feelings, emotions. They don't do any color, any shape. It's all psychological state, like this haiku and all that. They take it and put it into this sense of comprehension. Yeah, they are more hearing. Right. The same with the music. Music can be more seeing, more hearing. These are 2 major faculties of consciousness, seeing and hearing. For example, Bach. Bach is hearing. He's always about harmony. It's not a melody. You will never find a melody as important in Bach. Yeah? But if you take somebody else like Tchaikovsky or something, it's more feelings, or even Mozart. If you take Mozart, you will see the light more than the space and harmony.
Yeah, Mozart I very much resonate with.
Yeah. So these are... It's amazing. That determines something in our perception, in our action in the world, that access to reality. Who are we? That seeing, hearing, or tactile. There are people who can understand only by touch. Students in the school, they need to see what is 2, 3. They have to have 3 objects, and touch them. Otherwise, they would not understand what 3 is. It's amazing. It's just showing us how, and then everything is in place. The whole consciousness operates perfectly, but the entry has to be of that kind, helping us. So the best way, that's why we do PowerPoint presentation, to see and to hear at the same time. It helps. And if somebody else wants to say something, so please go ahead. Joel, who are you? Joel. It would be interesting to know what people think about themselves. Or if you look at these 2 last ones, it's amazing. They are actually already in the embodied state. The water, the taste, you need to have a matter or substance, and the smell, you need to have a particle of the embodied. So these 2 are actually not included in the Upanishadic sense. You will not find taste and smell as a part of because they are already embodying all these 3, comprehensive and apprehensive. They are already in the body, in the substance. So the touch is already fully, because any form already, any substance has both. It has its place, has its form in some way, and has its meaning. So the form and meaning are already embodied. So these 3 are embodied here. That's why Sri Aurobindo describes them as adding dimension. So there is no touch without the ether, without the hearing. There is no sight without hearing and touch. There is no taste without these 3 being there. So they are all kind of adding one more aspect or one more dimension. So I was trying to complete with the smell as particles, and why it is less important for the operation of consciousness in the original sense, but in the embodied sense it is totally important. Smell and taste, and notice even here, taste and smell, these are, if you look at our faces again, it's an embodiment of the whole thing, the lower parts and the higher parts, hearing, seeing, and hair, touch, so to say, and here the nose, and they are going below, as it were. And what they smell, also the procreatory and excretory organs are also connected to that. For some reason, they are also in the body, in the torso. These are the lower 2, which are actually producing that which smells and has that's a liquid substance. So both of them have. So how nature is arranging everything in a beautiful way. The physicality reflects the very hierarchy of the faculties of consciousness. I am over the time already. Am I? No? Not yet.
No.
No.
Not at all.
You've
got 25 minutes at least.
Oh, lovely. Then maybe I will take the second half, because I want to be. So I'm finished with Sankhya. We had some kind of a little discussion around it. In case you want to learn more or know more, please don't hesitate. I will direct you to the literature if you want to read something. Now, today, the second half of this is kind of demanding attention, but we are ready. We prepared ourselves with Sankhya. So Sri Aurobindo speaks about secret operations, adhyatmic operations of consciousness. When we speak about the mind, hearing, seeing, these are the faculties of adhidaiva, of the mind and vital. But imagine that these very faculties are on the level of transcendental consciousness. How would you really describe them? There is no mouth to speak the word. There is no eye to see the light. What would you do there? How they operate? Where this mind, seeing, hearing are coming from? This is the question. Do they have their equivalents in the highest consciousness? How they operate there on the transcendental level, adhyatmic level of pure self, on the level of Purusha, or that universal Purusha from whom these faculties were not yet projected. How they operate within him. And this is the question. So, there are secret operations, Sri Aurobindo says. Vibrations only, yes. We will see how they vibrate. Vibration is an explanation of our embodied state. But it's a good symbol, yes. It tells us something. So there are secret operations in us, says Sri Aurobindo, in our subconscious and in superconscious selves, which precede this action, any action of consciousness. But of these we are not aware in our surface being. And therefore, for us, they do not exist. If we knew of them, our whole conscious functioning would be changed. That's why they're secret. They're secret because if we would know about them, we would stop doing what we are doing. So ignorance is allowing us, that ego sense, ahankara, allows us to be what we are and to evolve. To be ignorant, but to be truly ignorant. Otherwise, if we would be too soon aware of how world functions, we will lose this functionality. It's obvious, yes? It's like muktas. Those who get mukti, they want to leave this world because they found their unborn self. Why should they stay? They are already in bliss. They understand everything. So what's the point of living, staying, doing anything? Everything is done by the world, by nature, by prakriti, as we will see in the Gita section. So the Purusha is only a witness. So stay witness. No? Like Ramana Maharshi, be a witness. Smile to everything. That's it. But in his case, it's not too early. In our case, if we are not ready and we get this understanding, then we stop being what we are. When we stop evolving, stop progressing, stop searching for knowledge, we stop everything. So that's why that's not actually given to us. And these secret operations, essential operations of consciousness are samjnana, ajnana, vijnana, and prajnana. They are mentioned in the Aitareya Upanishad. That is the whole section. Yad etad hridayam manas chaitad samjnanam, ajnanam, vijnanam, prajnanam, medha drishtir dhritir matir manisha jyutik smritih sankalpah kratura sukhamo vasha iti sarvaniyevaitani prajnanasya nama dheyani bhavanti. These are the actions of prajnana, and this long list of the faculties of consciousness, which is headed, which is at the beginning I mentioned these four. And Sri Aurobindo deals with these four, explaining what they are and why they are secret operations. I do not know whether you know this text from the Kena Upanishad, his explanations of these faculties. If not, it would be very interesting to examine the secret operations of consciousness. How mind, sight, hearing, everything comes into being. There is something preceding them. Some operation within the consciousness is taking place. Sri Aurobindo describes samjnana as essential sense. Everything, he says, begins with a vibration or movement, the original kshobha or disturbance. If there is no movement of the conscious being, it can only know its own pure static existence. Yes, it's quite clear. There is no vibration. The mirror is clean, and the being is viewing itself without any modification, without any interest in knowing anything of itself. It knows itself directly as it is. Without vibration or movement of being in consciousness, there can be no act of knowledge, and therefore sense. Without vibration or movement of being in force, there can be no object of sense. So this consciousness force, consciousness power, Chit Shakti, Chit Tapas, is that major vibration. The vibration in consciousness and vibration in force are simultaneous. Chit Tapas is one consciousness. So without the vibration or movement of being, of Sat, in Chit Tapas, in consciousness, there can be no act of knowledge. Nothing is to know if the consciousness is not vibrating, or the being is not moving within the consciousness. There can be no act of knowledge, and therefore sense. Sense itself is the product of that movement of being in consciousness to know itself. Without vibration or movement of being in force, there can be no object of sense, because there would be nothing to know. Movement of conscious being as knowledge, becoming sensible of itself as movement of force, in other words, the knowledge separating itself from its own working, to watch that and to take it into itself again by feeling, this is the basis of universal samjnana. This is true both for internal and external operations. It is true for all operations of consciousness. So what is happening? That the consciousness force generates everything in the world, manifests the being, but that's why every bit and piece of being here, everything, every creature knows how to be itself. It has that consciousness inbuilt in it. The computer knows how to be computer. The table knows how to be a table and to stand still and to hold the computer. My body knows how to operate in its own way and to speak the words that you would hear them, and everything knows how to be. The stars know where to move. The earth knows how to rotate and around the sun, and the sun around the galaxy, and the galaxy in the universe. Everything knows how to be itself because the consciousness is inbuilt in it. But now, what happens in the creation? The moment of conscious being as knowledge, becoming sensible of itself as movement of force, and in other words, it separates itself from its own workings and views that as if anew, as if for the first time. And that is the sense. It is viewing it and saying, oh, I discovered, I came to know this, as if it didn't. How could you come to know anything if you didn't know it before? It's already there. It's a kind of a game. So the consciousness perceives it anew through feeling. This is feeling. So I identify myself with myself as if it is not me. And in that sense, I get a new sense, as it were. This is Sri Aurobindo's deep view on the creation and consciousness. And then This is some jnana. Some jnana, it's quite interesting. Together, jnana. Jnana, root jna is to know. Sri Aurobindo translates as knowledge, kno, gnosis. Yes, the same. Jna. He translates it as self-realization, knowing oneself. You cannot use this verb in a sense as knowing somebody else. You know only yourself. Vid, to know somebody else. It's like objective knowing, like video, like seeing somebody as it is. But jnana is to realize oneself, to know only through one's own identity. Knowledge by identity, as it were. For example, in Sanskrit, Panini has the whole sutra for it. He says you cannot say, I know the book, pustakam janami. This is a wrong statement. You can say only pustakena janami. I know with the help of the book. So whom do you know? You know yourself with the help of the book. This is the knowledge of jna. So some jna, knowing together, knowing totally, knowledge by identity, as it were. Then we go to the next. How Sri Aurobindo explains this. This is beautiful. I become angered by a vibration of conscious force acting as nervous emotion, and I feel the anger that I have become by another movement of conscious force acting as light of knowledge. So I am angry. On one side there is some trembling in me, and on the other side I know that I am angry. So I know the state in which I am. I am conscious of my body because I have become the body. That the same force of conscious being which has made this form of itself, this presentation of its workings, knows it in that form, in that presentation. I can know nothing except what I myself am. If I know others, it is because they are also myself, because myself has assumed these apparently alien presentations, as well as that which is nearest to my own mental center. All sensation, all action of sense is thus the same in essence, whether external or internal, physical or psychical. We were speaking about the light uniting us into one body. This is something of the kind. Yeah? I am everywhere myself, but apparently I think I am not. So I perceive you anew, fresh. I discover you, I discover the world. I discover I knew it, but I arrive at my knowledge, so to say, anew. And this is the fundamental action of consciousness as a creator of the world. So here we are. This was about samjnana. There are a few more. So samjnana is the contact, these definitions are very precise and very beautiful, is the contact of consciousness with the image of things by which there is a sensible possession of it in its substance. If prajnana can be described as outgoing of apprehensive consciousness, to possess its object in conscious energy, to know it as such, I add, samjnana can be described as inbringing movement of apprehensive consciousness, which draws the object placed before it back to itself, so as to possess it in conscious substance, to feel it. This is the knowledge by identity. So, and notice these are two movements of apprehensive consciousness, not comprehensive. It's not about understanding. It's about identity, being. It's not about Purusha, the self and the Lord. You remember we were speaking about these two. It's not about the Lord. It's about the self yet. It's this part, full identity, and through identity feeling it. So if I identify with the bottle, so I feel that it is cool, that it is heavy through myself. In myself I know it. I don't know it as it is. As it is prajnana, is outgoing of apprehensive consciousness. So what is outgoing? I will have to analyze it as such. I have to screw it out to see how it works, this as it is, not as I feel it within myself. So these two movements of apprehensive consciousness are simultaneous and constantly available. There are two more movements. So prajnana, yes, prajnana we already mentioned, but once more, prajnana is the consciousness which holds an image of things before it as an object with which it has to enter into relations and possess by apprehension and analytic and synthetic cognition. I will be analyzing it as such, taking it apart, dissecting it, analyzing how the bits and pieces come together. This is scientific approach. As my teacher in the university told me, Vladimir, to know the fish, you don't need to become a fish. That means you can dissect the fish, you can analyze the fish. You don't need to be the fish to know the fish. And
so it's very much the opposite of samjana. Yeah?
Yes, in a way, yes. These two different, one is inbringing and identifying, and our other is outgoing and analyzing. Yeah, two movements of the same self. But there are two more comprehensive consciousness. Vijnana is a comprehensive, is the original comprehensive consciousness which holds an image of things in its essence, totality, parts and properties. It is the original, spontaneous, true and complete view of it, which belongs properly to the supermind and of which mind has only a shadow of the highest operations of the comprehensive intellect. So what is comprehension? What is understanding? I understand that this bottle is far away from me. I can reach out with my hand. I know already that I can take it. I have enough strength. I know that there is liquid. I know that I can drink it. I can put it into the mouth and drink it. I know all of this. I know that I can put it back on the table, that the table will hold it. All of this, relations, properties, parts, in oneness, in meaningful oneness, coherent oneness, is this comprehensive approach.
This is integral.
Makes sense? Say it again.
Integral.
It's more understanding. Okay. Rather than understanding what it does, what it may do, what it should do, what it could do, all of it in time and space. Yeah. Also, how it came into being. This plastic was produced by the development of science. This water was produced in the factory by human beings. Everything
all the
which is the
potentialities and implications and everything.
Right. It's like Brahman is described as all-comprehensive being, because all the parts and beings, when they were creating artificial intelligence for the first time, they had the problem because they had to explain to a computer which doesn't have comprehensive intellect, comprehensive consciousness, what is what, the meanings. So you tell the computer the book, and computer says, what is the book? It always asks what. So you tell the book is the thing. What is thing? You say it is the thing for reading, suppose. Yeah. What is reading? Reading is letters, language, meanings, stories, which what is man, what is stories. The more you explain to the computer, the more it asks what it is. Yeah? Because it cannot totally comprehend, it can only apprehend. It takes all these bits and pieces, puts together, and more you put, the more you have still to put. Because you cannot, so everything what is here revealed, for example, this bottle explains the whole world in a particular fashion, in a particular focus. Everything comes here into this bottle in one way or another. There is nothing in the world which does not gather the whole world in a particular focal point. And this is comprehension. Only human beings have this. Computers do not have this. And that's nowadays they do something interesting with computers. They make many, many photos. Photo vision is apprehension. They make many photos of the thing, of different chairs, of different sizes, of different angles, like billions of photos. That computer may recognize the chair. Money means the chair. Through all those photos, in very quick comparison of the shape. So the apprehensive cognition continues without comprehension. Because the chair is not about the two legs and the form. The chair is about sitting. And sitting you cannot explain to a computer. You have to make photos of sitting. This is something very important for us to understand, the difference between the two. So here this vijnana is that comprehension, understanding how things relate, what they can do, and so on. And finally, ajnana is the operation by which consciousness dwells on an image of things as to govern, so as to govern and possess it in power. And these four, therefore, are the basis of all conscious action. So what it means, ajnana, is that I can reach out and take the bottle. I can open it, I can disturb it, I can turn upside down, I can throw it away. I comprehensively, understandingly, what is needed for me, can deal with this image of things. It's a power of action. Ajna is the will, as you remember, will chakra, or the logos, the word. Now the word is coming from this action, or the command of consciousness. Vijnana gathers everything into meaningful oneness, as Brahman holds all the bits and pieces in meaningful vibration and interaction. It's like hearing, all-pervading hearing. Prajnana is viewing objectively things as such, analyzing them concretely, apprehensively. It's seeing. That's why seeing is so dominating now in the science and mental structure of consciousness. We are all becoming very much seeing. We are viewing even time in terms of space. For us, time is just clock. We are viewing all in the forms because we try to view the world objectively. So this is an objective viewing. So seeing is always viewing thing as such, as it is. And the philosophy will build on it. We will come to the continuation of the study later. And samjnana is this inbringing of the apprehensive consciousness, which we know as knowledge by identity, or the mind. I will have to hold this within my attention, otherwise I cannot deal with this bottle. So I will have to focus myself on it, fix it with myself, and then I can analyze it, I can comprehend it, I can deal with it. If I don't have it focused in my consciousness, I have something else focused, then I cannot deal with this bottle.
But true knowledge by identity only comes through the psychic being, doesn't it? So,
right, we are talking about the operations of consciousness. Psychic being is the representative of the universal Purusha in the individual form. He has all the faculties are his. He can operate through them and by them. We will come to it more in this in the next section on the psychic being and the qualities. What are these? Sincerity, humility, where they are coming from. And gratitude. What is this? Courage. It's not a seeing, not hearing. It's not the operation of consciousness. It is something else altogether. And we will compare these two and try to figure out what it means. By the way, these two faculties and verities constitute everything what we have to know about consciousness.
Vladimir, I have a doubt. All these faculties of consciousness are moving towards being. It helps in the being. Now, where does Patanjali Yoga Sutra, when he mentions the first word as Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, is it going opposite? The vritti, the vibrations, to remove the vibration and going towards, again, the state from where we came? Is it like...
No, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, this is the condition for cleansing up the responses from Chitta, which are automatic. So instead of reacting automatically to whatever happens to you, you remove it, clean up. That's where you stop Chitta, activities, vrittis, and then you will be acquiring a new capacity of consciousness to focus. The whole Yoga Sutras are about focus. How to make that mind, this samjnana, this identity with the object, absolute. How to arrive at that absolute power of identity, which he calls samadhi.
Okay, so the fluctuations that he mentions are not this actually, where the vibrations move towards being, right? It's only the mental vibrations that Patanjali talks about them for cleansing.
Which vibrations you are referring to?
No, because here it is like, it talks about the four different the faculties.
Vibration,
yeah?
Vibration of consciousness. He's speaking about how consciousness functions. Vibration is not. It is something like if we have to use language of the embodied state. So if we imagine that there is no vibration, like the ocean is totally without any wave, how Vivekananda describes nirvanic consciousness. He says, if you look at the ocean and there is no one turbid wave, it's absolutely like a mirror. That is the nirvanic state. So there is no disturbance. But for the consciousness to function, there must be some. If, as Shubhendu says, if there is no such thing, if there is no movement of conscious being, it can only know its own pure static existence. So we are talking about operations, how consciousness operates, and we use the language of the vibrations, of the identity, of apprehension, comprehension too. This is the finger again, pointing to the knowledge which we have to recognize within ourselves. Now I will give the last bit. Sorry, I'm already over time. How these four operations are acting. So if I want to take this bottle and drink, the water, so I have to first notice the bottle, identify it with myself. I have to have this relation with it as samjnana. Then I have to see that it is not only with me connected, but it is also separate from me, exists as such, prajnana. It has its own qualities, own characteristics, which are not me, not my feelings, not my emotions, but as it is. These are two apprehensive moments. They're simultaneous, they're immediate. We don't think about them. And then I have to comprehend that this bottle stands here and my hand can reach out. There is enough distance that I have enough strength to lift it up, to open this. So all of it, that I need that liquid, and all of this is vijnana, comprehension, which is not visible, which I have to add to it, from somewhere else. And finally, I have to reach out with my hand and do it. And that is the jnana. And so when I reach out and take it, all four are present simultaneously, immediately, and I'm not distinguishing them.
I see.
This is how consciousness operates. That's beautiful. Sri Aurobindo gives us such profound knowledge. He spells out all the details of this, psychological knowledge.
Really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, there are more things, but we stop here. We are already 8 minutes over.
You can go on a bit longer if you want, Vladimir.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to abuse you in your timing. And
That's okay. Another 10 minutes will be fine.
All right. So I was comparing these four with those which will be known to us as faculties. Yes? So samjnana is apprehensive knowing by becoming one with the object of sense, or by making it a part of oneself, as it were. So I inbring the object of sense into myself. It can be identified with the major faculty of subjective self-knowing mind, manas of Sankhya, that very power of consciousness to focus on any object of sense oneself, or bring it and identify it with oneself. It is only by identifying with the image of things that one can actually know it, as Sri Aurobindo says. Yes? It is apprehensive because it appropriates the image of things into oneself. It makes an object of sense a part of the subjective self. So the object of sense becomes part of my subjective feelings. I feel it within myself. I know how it feels. And by that knows it. It is based on the essential sense operating through knowledge by identity. By the way, Sri Aurobindo says that knowledge by identity is spelled out by him till it is separative knowledge, you remember, direct, separative, and finally we have that kind of functioning, but actually there is only one knowledge. It's knowledge by identity. I can know anything because I know myself. So only through myself I know anything. If I'm not there, if I'm not with this bottle, how can I know the bottle? I'm knowing something else in that moment of time. I can concentrate on anything and know it because I can identify with it. And this is the faculty of the mind, of the manas, which became so predominant in the Sankhya and in our mental structure because it has that capacity to focus faculties on any image of things or identify with ourselves. Prajnana, on the other hand, also immediate with some jnana, it's not something afterwards, we can spell it as if it is afterwards, is apprehensive knowing by dwelling on the image of things bit by bit. Like I'm looking at the top of the bottle, at the structure of it, or the letters written on it, or the color. I look bit by bit through analytical and synthetic cognition, recognizing it as such, as it is. It can be identified with the objective self-knowing, seeing, the discrimination, drishti. Drishti, seeing, means actually cutting from dri to tear. to tear apart, to distinguish one part from the other. I distinguish, oh, this is yellow and this is white, and this is something else. This is letter and this is the top. I start distinguishing bits and pieces. This is seeing. Distinguishing the elements of the image of things as they are. It is apprehensive because it deals with these elements and knows them as such, as if objectively, not as oneself. And we need both. We need this and knowing as oneself simultaneously. That's what it takes. And then my own kind of reflection on Ajnana and Vijnana. Ajnana is a comprehensive movement of consciousness expressed by the power of the self, that's myself, to rule or command over the image of things. The logos, the will, is expressed by the self and can be identified as essential characteristic of the word, that innermost characteristic of the word, Vak, the logos, the word which creates. At the beginning was the word, and word was with God, and word was God, that action to create. It is comprehensive because it expresses the subjective self, my need. As I understand it. Vijnana, and this is the last one, comprehensive simultaneous knowing of all the parts in their relations and essence, supramental, subjective, and comprehensive knowledge, can be identified as the essential characteristic of Shruti, all-including, all-pervading presence of the spirit, Brahman, and that's hearing. Hearing is actually all-pervading, comprehensive coexistence of all things and their relations. It is comprehensive because it holds the image of things in relation to all other images in the subjective way, knowing their essential oneness and their possible relations, I can add. I know this is a little bit too much, but this is mind-boggling.
Oneness and multiplicity.
Huh?
Oneness and multiplicity.
Yes, simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
Oneness and multiplicity, and all the details are seen, and objectively and subjectively, and at once, everything in one action of consciousness. But this oneness of action of consciousness generates those faculties as we know them, as seeing, hearing. What is the difference between seeing and hearing, if I ask you? And that would be the question. Huh? If you can define the difference between seeing and hearing in psychological terms, in spiritual terms, in philosophical terms, then you would immediately see apprehensive and comprehensive cognition. For example, I give this always example. You see the face behind the glass. You see directly. It's a direct evidence. Face is already there. You know everything about the person. But it tries to tell you something and you don't hear. Oh, what will you do? It tries to tell you which is not visible. It wants a glass of water, and there is no glass of water in the room. You have to go to another room, take a glass of water and bring here. So everything which is not visible, wanted, yeah, is in the domain of hearing, of what can be done with this form. So the form is there, but it wants something which is not there. So it draws that which is not there. This is the power of the word, of self-expression, of this creation of a new world, constantly being created by this need of expressing subjective self. if you start analyzing these, you will see how deep it goes, and how fundamental it is. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you.
Yeah. That's
For me, it was the most fascinating for psychology, these faculties of secret operations, yes, because they explain everything.
very, very secret as well.
Could you suggest
And
some readings,
obvious.
Vladimir?
Yes?
Could you suggest some readings?
Yes, Kena Upanishad. Yes, I will send you the passages for these. You read all the examples Sri Aurobindo gives in nature, in relations between people, how these secret operations operate. You will be really taken by it. How it is in nature, how beetle tries to eat another beetle, insect, how it directs its own sting to hit the point where that will be immobilized. How does he know where to really drive its sting? He has all this, Vijnana, Samjnana, all of them are operating there already. Or how we speak, how we think, in everything, in thinking, speaking, feeling, all 4 operations are available. So we can analyze and see how they are acting. Once we know about them, our functioning may change, so don't be in a hurry to analyze them. Live your life still. Be ignorant. Don't see them. I'm joking. Okay, there are some points here. Abstract, I know. Sorry. So seeing is concrete and hearing is passing. Very nice. Very good. I like it. Seeing is concrete. It's the body, the self, the being, the substance, something which is. Hearing which wants to be, which likes to be, which that's why the time and space comes into play. Passing. Hearing is passing. Yes, it is passing. Very nice. Like it. Thank you. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.